Hi, welcome to another episode of More Than One Opinion. I'm Jinnie Day and I'm here with my co-host, Nupur.
How are you? So today's topic would be transforming by or through adversity. And obviously it's a big topic. We're going to try to condense it as much as possible. We're trying to sort of focus more on the personal aspect rather than just the recent one where obviously we're facing with COVID and things that we're sort of dealing with this year. It's more of shaping you and where it's gotten you to adaptive, changed you, transformed you over the years to the person that you are now. So can you share a little bit sort of personal life, more personally about you, and where do you think sort of certain aspects could have occurred that has really shaped you into the person that you are, I guess, now?
Taking it back in my early years, when you're younger and you haven't really had life experience, you think something small happens, you're like, oh my god, my world is like crashing down, whether you have like a fight with a friend or a relationship breakup at that stage, you're just like, my world, my world has ended. But there has been probably a few specific challenges in my life that has shaped me, where I've like come out of the other end, where it's like knocked me down and I've had to rebuild myself, up again. I think the first thing that I could probably think back that has really sort of, an adversity was my choice. When my parents moved overseas from Sydney to Germany, they thought that, I was coming with them, and in the last moment, I was like, I'm actually staying back.
Good for you.
That was a really difficult thing for me to do because my dad was a very scary person to deal with, and to say, hey, I'm not going to do what you say, I'm going to actually stay here on my own, while you're like, I was 19
it's
then.
A big step to...
Yeah, it was a big step, given that I was, I came from a home where, my parents fairly tried to shelter me, from the world. I mean, meaning like, looking after me. That was their way of looking after me, by sheltering me. So sometimes that doesn't really work to your favour because you come into the real world and you just like, you get a shock. So
it's a bit of a bubble.
Correct. So
I call it the ethnic bubble.
Yeah, exactly.
Ethnic parents do that.
Yes. Yes, so that bubble burst. Well, I burst that bubble, pretty quickly. So, that was a big learning, curve for me, and it taught me to rely on myself. Taught a lot not to be scared.
Independence, for sure.
Independence, definitely. And obviously, it was a lot of fun having my freedom, but then also taught me responsibilities because guess what? Like, you can't be sleeping until 2 p.m. You've got to do your laundry, you've got to pay your bills, you've got to go grocery shopping. Those things are not done for you.
It's a bit of a wake-up call, I think.
Correct.
Because if coming from a sheltered lifestyle,
and having everything done for you to like that safety net.
How were they okay with it? Like, it would have been a pretty...
They weren't okay with it. I had to stage my they really weren't okay with it because my university transfer had almost gone through to go to Germany. So it was a very, very, I was like agonizing over, I had a pit in my stomach for a long time.
Amazing.
And then I was just like, literally not even a month out when the flights were like booked, I'm like, I'm actually not going. So
how long were they away for?
They were away for a good 10 to 12 years.
So, I mean, really, it's really shaped you into the person that I know. Like, I didn't know you at 19. Probably other friends of ours knew you.
Yeah.
But for me, you come across very independent, very, very confident, easy to deal with because it's like you planned. And like if I ask you, Jinnie, can you do this? Or can we go to this place? You've already booked it, you've lined it up, and I find it's easy to deal with someone like you. Do you think it came because of that? Or was that always you before 19?
I mean, I was always a planner, but I think being on my own definitely made me like step it up the next level. I had to.
It was a good thing, I think.
Yeah, it was all positive. Like, it wasn't a bad thing, but it was scary having to be like, okay, I have no safety net. My parents
make it work.
I have to make it work. I can't, if something doesn't go right, I can't go to my parents and be like, hey, by the way, can you send me some money?
Or like, I told you so.
Told you so. So that was like, that drove me. It's like, I didn't want to hear that I told you so. That was a big driver for me.
Mm.
So yeah, it was all like.
Do you think it affected you the way you dealt with, for instance, potential partners, partners to be, and how you deal with them, because though you may be young, you're quite independent. So even from a male perspective, men would say, I mean, she doesn't really need me, because some guys think that's how they are.
Yeah.
When they come to a woman, they're like, she needs me, I'm going to protect her. But you don't need anything. You're pretty quite independent, quite sure, with objectives, goals, everything's set in place. Been living practically without your parents for years.
So
it's like, how did that affect you?
It was good. I had my own place, so at that age, a lot of people, everyone was living at home, so it was like, oh, Jinnie's house is the place to be, because I had the freedom. So
But you have to put probably some boundaries and things, because you'd pick up very quickly that things could get out of control very easily.
Correct. And sometimes it did, but then again, it had to be like, I'm the one who had to bring back order, because who else is going to do it? Correct. But it definitely did affect relationships in the way that it did bring out about insecurities in certain relationships, because it's like, there's she can do whatever she wants, she has a friend to do whatever she wants, and it's like, I don't need her, she doesn't need me. Correct. So it did kind of bring a lot of insecurities, and also on top of that, I was still doing a lot of performances, dancing, I was just kind of like out there, period.
Do you regret it at all? Or like you could
No, not at all. It was like the best, no regrets at all, the best decision I've made in my life, because it's taught me to be...
Because it was early on, right? But it shaped you and reformed you into the person that you are.
Absolutely. So,
and you could call it an adversity, because, it's a challenge. It's like you're moving to another country with your family, or not.
And then that everything gets pulled away from you.
It's hard. It's a different thing.
So that was probably the one big step in my life that that shaped me. There were times where obviously I did miss my family, and then I may have been a little bit too maybe emotionally dependent on a relationship as a result of that, but I was aware of that, and then I kind of rectified that situation. So I was very well aware of those things. So time goes along. I think when you get knocked down, the next time your threshold to deal with certain situations goes up.
For sure.
So life went on, everything was great. I think the next big punch in my life was when I lost my cousin she was aged 45 to cancer. That same year in 2013, my mum was diagnosed with breast cancer. She was diagnosed with bowel cancer, but unfortunately she didn't make it. And at the same time, my husband, Romy, was going through 2 very big surgeries. So I was like being slammed in every sort of like which direction. I was like, oh my God.
Very typical.
So I had to be, caretaker, having to deal with like my emotions, but also trying to, be strong, for them. So from 2013 to now, I did experience quite a few losses.
I'm sure,
in my life. So my cousin in 2013, then the following year, 2014, my auntie, which was my cousin's mother, then my dad in December 2014. So in that 1 year, I lost 2 very important people in my life. So I think that one 18-month period was probably one of the most difficult, because loss is so final. There's a lot of trials and tribulations and challenges that come, but loss is very final. So it's because where do you kind of go from there?
We don't rectify it because you don't have a second chance with it.
Correct. And you think about what I could have done, and you just try to rehash everything, and you think about all the milestones that they're going to miss out on, and it's a lot to process. But I had to really dig deep and just be like, I need to redefine myself. I need to find clarify my purpose in life. You start to question like your faith. Or
would you say though, because obviously from 19 to that time, you become a very strong independent woman, that you're probably better equipped to face such a situation due to the years that you went on your own independent thing, because otherwise you'd crack straight away.
People
crack, and I see them.
Yeah.
They crack straight away because they're not used to. They've never had to deal with anything.
Yeah.
They've always had mummy and daddy around.
Correct.
They've always had their family around. And then as soon as you take them out of that
environment,
they're finished.
Yeah.
Because they've never been on their own.
Yes.
Or they've never had to adapt or transform into a person that's independent enough to
Correct.
face such situations. So I mean, it's a terrible loss, and you've had several terrible losses. But the way I noticed the way you deal with things, it's all because of foundation that has transformed you years ago.
Correct.
That you sort of assess it and you sort of build up, and that is the sort of the topic that we're working on. Is that transforming into being really stronger for the situation.
Yeah.
You know, when you go to the gym, initially you can't really lift a lot.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're lifting more, you can last longer, you've got more endurance, you've got all these things, you look better, you're the part, but you're certainly not the same person 2 years before you started.
Correct, that's right.
So, you know, why? It's because there's resistance, there's struggle, there's heartache, you know, there's adversity that you're having to face. And, you know, we've touched on different topics in the past and recent topics where what do you do with what you've been dealt? What you've been dealt with. It's definitely being trained to the point where whatever life throws at you, you manage it correctly, because life's going to throw all sorts of things at you.
It is,
and it doesn't stop. Like it just doesn't stop.
No.
And it's how I deal with what I've been given, how I deal with the tragedy, how I deal with the success, how do I deal with the happiness, the sadness, how I deal with it. Ultimately, really, is based on how I've been shaped as a person to that point.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you don't just go, okay, I'm adapting now, all of a sudden I'll do it. So it's like bringing someone that, like I said, never been to a gym and go, can you lift that 100 kilos?
Yeah.
No. It doesn't matter how much of a pressure you put on them, they're just not going to. But it's been trained and molded into a person that can face issues when it comes at them, no matter what the issue. You know, so as a soldier, for instance, they take them and they train them and they put them through. And then they're asking, why are you waking me up? Why can't I sleep more than 2 hours? Why is there such drills? Why is there thing? Why are you abusing me? Why are you talking down to me? Why are you're using a machine gun right on top of my head? And if I pop my head, why are you doing this? They're doing this because they're basically shaping you in whatever the battle throws at you, whether you're on your own, whether you're in a team situation, whether you will be the best version of yourself, and you will be able to face it at the best level. So adversity is going to come, and I believe that
it is, of course.
And in the short summary of what you've just shared with your life, and I thank you for it. You've given a glimpse of the person that you've become. The only reason why you are able to face what you've been facing and deal with it so really in a high level way of dealing with it is because of what you've gone through and how you've had to transform since you were 19. Others are at loss, and it actually affects their whole life. I've seen people when they have losses like that, it affects them. They're gone. They're finished. And they walk through life like they're a shadow. They're finished. They just have not been built up to live in a way where they can face things that get thrown at them. And to be honest, and to wrap it up, we're in COVID right now. If you're unable to adapt to the situation, you're not going to be able to adapt to the rest of the years that are coming. This is just one thing. I'm not saying that I'm cursing us and we're going to have more things, but there's a possibility that there's going to be more things coming at our way. That's how life is. That's life. So it's me building up myself in the meantime into whatever the situation is thrown at me. I adapt, I transform to the better, so that as life throws its curveballs and whatever it wants to throw at me, I'm actually ready to take it on because I'm built up as a person. Dolphins, in general, need to be taught by their mum. If their mum dies, the dolphin will not learn anything. So dolphins are taught by the mum or the parent to hunt, do all things, and when they do it, they're awesome. They can hunt little things on the actual seashore. They catch the wave in, and then they wait for the wave to come, and they pull it back out. They're not born with that. They're born to learn. As they learn, because it's hard, they basically start to adapt and then they start to show their talents.
Yeah.
We're the same thing. We are born to learn. We're born to adapt. We're born to transform whatever it's thrown at us, even if we don't understand what's happening right now, because later on you're going to need it. You're going to have to call on every single strength of ounce of muscles that you've ever put on the past for that moment.
Correct.
And, you know, when a loss such as what you've experienced would obviously show. If it wasn't the Jinnie that had stayed on her own from 19 in Australia when her parents went to Germany, I think that other Jinnie would have crumbled.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. I think it's you're spot on. I think if I didn't, force myself in that situation at that point, the loss, even the recent loss of my mother, it would really just have. I would not have been able to get up. I wouldn't be able to get out of bed. Had I not started that transformation journey back then, I wouldn't be equipped to handle. Whatever's happening, right? It's not to say that I'm not feeling it,
Of course you're going to feel it.
You just, strong people, doesn't mean strong people don't feel things. Yeah. But there's just, you make a conscious decision to get up.
And how to deal with it.
Yeah. Every day, and you accept that there's going to be good days, there's going to be dark days.
For sure.
And you just keep that in mind. And you've gone through a pretty
massive one,
rough rough patch and challenging journey.
Massive time. And I'd love to talk on another time because obviously for time wise, we've gone over our segment. But divorce, separation, losses. These are huge things.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to do even a topic on that. And if our viewers and our audience would love to. Sort of ask us questions or ask us a particular topic to touch on. I'd love to touch on it because, again, we get your feedback, then we make a episode according to the feedback that we're getting. So for tonight's sort of episodes, we've sort of wrap it up as it is. Thank you, Jinnie, for sharing what you've shared.
Thanks,
again, we thank you for joining us, and do share. Also ask questions and support us as you have been. Thank you very much. This is Rody Nupur from More Than One Opinion, ending with thank you and stay strong.